Yo, welcome into the Miami Sports Music Network to another Dono and Daniels. I am Dono. He is Daniels. And this is a pretty big day, Steve. I mean, we are 30 minutes away now, and we're going to be carrying it live here on this show. But we're 30 minutes away from seeing the new Miami Dolphins head coach officially introduced. I've been saying it all week. It is Mike McDaniel's world. We are all just living in it this week, man. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun, man. Good morning to you, man. Super excited for episode number 3 of Dono and Daniels. We had to delay it this week, but you know what? That just means greatness exists. And I like the hat this morning, by the way, man. It's not as fly as my hat, but it is a fly hat.
It's like a Heat Dolphins combo hat. Is that what that is?
I've had people try to buy this hat right off my head, dude. True story. Even on the stream, they're like, dude, I'll pay you $50 for that hat. Yeah, people tried to get this hat. Not getting it.
Amazing.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to see the press conference this morning. McDaniel being the head coach. I want to hear what he has to say. It already starts to look like we're kind of to see a coaching staff form. But I'm excited. It should be a fun morning.
And bro, I feel like maybe we should get into this before we get more into McDaniel, because I could see everybody in the live chat is talking about this. And also I love it, man. I love it when I log in here before we start a 9:30 show and we've already got 100 messages on the live chat.
Crazy.
It's really awesome. But people are talking about Steve Ross. And so yesterday, I was pretty shocked by this. I don't know if you were, by what Roger Goodell said yesterday when he was asked about the allegations made in the Flores lawsuit, because when those allegations were initially made, when the complaint was lobbied early last week, the NFL within an hour had a written response where they basically said all of these allegations are unfounded. But it's like, okay, well, how do you actually know that when you haven't had time to look into anything? That was their initial statement. And now a week and a half later, Goodell talks to the media yesterday, as he does every year leading up to the Super Bowl. And he's talking about how serious the allegations are. So now all of a sudden the NFL is acknowledging that they're not baseless allegations, that they are serious allegations now. And he even did, he did admit, because somebody asked him, can team owners vote out one of their owners, one of the other owners? And he said, yeah, I think that they can. I need to look into it. So this is now, and again, I don't think there's anything that's super concrete that came out of this, okay? And we don't really know what proof they may or may not have that he being Stephen Ross, actually offered Brian Flores $100,000 per loss in 2019. We don't know what kind of actual tangible proof that they have, but just the fact that Goodell is suddenly taking it this seriously and even talking about the possibility that an owner can be voted out. If I'm reading the tea leaves here, Steve, this may be sounding like they might feel like there is really something there.
You might be reading the tea leaves correct. Ian Rappaport yesterday in his tweets, here, and these are quotes from the Stephen Ross, I guess, interview with the reporters at the Super Bowl, pretty much said, I quote, very disturbing. Integrity of the game is very important. We'll deal with it very seriously. And, when it was asked about, potential punishment for what if there is findings that it corroborates. This is what Roger Goodell said. I do believe the owners have the ability to remove an owner.
My God.
And when the NFL commissioner says a statement, and by the way, it sounds like there was a lot of reporters, Ian Rappaport included, didn't even know that was a thing. Did not know that the owners could get together and remove an owner. And it has to do with an integrity clause and a morality clause that is built within when you own a team, that if you are deemed unfit for whatever, for the, and not good for the game, that the owners can get together and forcibly remove you as the owner of that team, which is unheard of.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, the closest thing that we've ever gotten, at least the closest thing I can remember, and it was in a different sport, was when, the commissioner of the NBA basically forced Donald Sterling to sell his team. And that, I mean, that wasn't even, and maybe they did this, but I don't remember owners actually coming together. It's basically the commissioner that was like, you're out. You've got to sell the team. You're done. And now if we put it this way, if I'm being real here, though, it would have to be, to me, it would have to be really bad. Like the findings against Stephen Ross would have to be really, really bad
Mm-hmm.
for the other 31 to vote him out, because I don't think they want even that precedent to be set. Like, I don't even think that the other 31 owners are going to be like, oh, something like maybe kind of
Yeah,
shady was happening, because because that opens all of them up to that possibility. I mean, what if
100%.
and we got like one of the owners in the league was frequenting rub and tugs, a few years ago, and like I'm
How's that
sure
not a morality clause, right?
yeah, that's the thing. So I'm sure he doesn't like the idea of, wait, we can vote people out of this? Like, what if somebody did? And not only was he frequenting rub and tugs, he also owns the team that was filming, opposing sidelines and stealing signals and deflating footballs and all that. So I'm sure Bob Kraft probably doesn't want the precedent being set that we can vote owners out. There are plenty of other owners in the NFL that I'm sure have skeletons in their closet and baggage. I mean, we've heard enough rumblings about owners of certain teams that have a pretty bad track record when it comes to racial issues and diversity. So I honestly, it would have to be like this whole. I don't even know what we're calling this. What are we?
There's no tank gate, I guess would be an appropriate term for it. They are so according to Armando Sagaro, senior NFL writer for Outkick.com, it is reported that former Miami Dolphins assistant coach Lance Bennett is the witness in the Brian Flores lawsuit, who heard Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offer Flores $100,000 per loss in 2019. Again, it's still all hearsay, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so
is there anything in writing? I don't think that there is.
I would think that even with a witness, right?
Yeah.
There still would be a very difficult time in the court of law to prove if Stephen Ross did this. Now, let's get something perfectly straight. My gut tells me, and this is all hearsay and this is all a feeling, that he did do it. I do believe that happened.
I agree.
But it's not about what you think or what you believe. It's about what you can prove. And is a witness going to be enough to corroborate Brian Flores' story or not? And that's the question that's going to be on the table.
Now, here's another way that I look at it, and it may not be good for the Miami Dolphins. Like, okay, you talk about there has to be like a certain amount of proof that I think you would need before the other 31 owners, or a majority of the other 31 owners, would actually be willing to vote Stephen Ross out. Like, I think you would need very, very substantive evidence for them to actually kick him out of the yacht club. Okay. The other side of it is, I don't think they're going to need, they being the NFL, nearly as much evidence to decide, okay, we've got to punish the Dolphins in some way. Like, it may not get as bad of like Roger Goodell saying, yeah, I think we need to force out one of these owners. But honestly, I think that you mentioned the assistant coach being a witness here. I hate to say it because I'm a Dolphin fan. I know you're a Dolphin fan. Most of the people, if not everybody watching us right now, are Miami Dolphins fans. I don't think they're going to need nearly as much evidence for the NFL to come out and say, we got to take away some draft picks and we got to find them. So and somebody in the chat was saying it as well. Unfortunately, like, I'm bracing myself for the fact that I don't think the Dolphins are going to get out of this completely unscathed. Like, I think that the NFL is going to do something, and it sucks because, Chris Greer has, he's made a lot of trades to compile a lot of first-round picks. Like, the Dolphins have 2 first-round picks in the 2023 draft. I'm just like, how many of these are we going to lose? Because, like, I'm really expecting the NFL to do something. Even if there's not written evidence, I think a witness may be enough for them to say, we can't just let the Dolphins skate. Like, we have to make some kind of an example out of the Dolphins to show that this sort of stuff is not tolerated.
To go from tank for Tua to tank gate is a very big thing within the NFL. And I think the NFL was hoping, and I don't know why they were hoping this, but based on their press release 3 hours after Brian Flores' lawsuit became public, based on past transgressions by certain people in the past, I think they're hoping to sweep this under the rug and that nothing comes of it. But that's just not going to happen, especially if it goes to trial. And I think the NFL will do whatever they can do to try to settle this out of court so that it doesn't come to trial. I really think that'll be the case. But the question is, what what does Brian Flores want out of this? And you got to remember too. Now it's not just Brian Flores.
Yeah.
It's a whole lawsuit. It's a class action.
Well, and here's a problem that I have with the way Brian Flores and his legal team is handling this. I absolutely think something very good can come out of this lawsuit, right? Because this is already forcing the NFL and the NFL owners to look in the mirror and saying, "Hey, are our hiring practices fair and diverse?" Right? And I think that could be a great thing that comes out of this, because they've had the Rooney Rule in place for 20 years, which was a noble idea, but the Rooney Rule doesn't work. Like the Rooney Rule, it just creates all these sham interviews where you're filling quotas, where you some cases you've already decided to hire a white guy and you just make that guy wait a few extra days while you interview.
Do some sham interviews. Yep.
Exactly. So the Rooney Rule unfortunately just doesn't work, right? And I think that this Flores lawsuit could actually force the NFL to really take a long, hard look and change their hiring practices, which could be a really good thing. At the same time, and I'm sure you saw this, Steve, and everybody in the chat saw this a few days ago when the Houston Texans ultimately hired Lovie Smith, who's a black head coach. They hired him to fill their head coaching vacancy. The most childish statement that came from Flores and his lawyers about basically saying, "Oh yeah, we're so happy Lovie Smith got the job, but well, the only reason why he got hired was because of Flores' lawsuit. The job should have been for Flores." So it's like, dude, hold on. Is this about you, or is this actually about changing the culture of the NFL? Because Steve, Brian Flores did like 7-8 interviews last week. I watched all of them. And I thought that he and the lawyers, they handled the interview, and they're on ESPN, they're on CBS, they're on CNN. I thought they handled those interviews really well, where he kept saying, Flo, that, this is not really about me. This is about diversity in the NFL, which sounds great. So how do you say that one week, and then the next week, a black man gets hired to be a head coach, and you're still complaining because it wasn't you? So is this about you, or is this actually about the NFL?
I said the moment that the lawsuit was brought public, I said this is a no-win for Flores. Flores is not going to win in any of this. Like, there is no scenario, in my opinion, with the exception of him getting, a major payout, and that's just financially, that he comes out this looking good to the public, at least in the beginning. Now, the question was, does he look like somebody who knocked through that brick wall and got bloodied first and is eventually a hero down the line? Maybe. But there was no win scenario the moment this lawsuit came out. And what is he going to say? I would have liked to him not release a statement at all about Lovie. Congratulations to Lovie. That's all that needed.
That's it. Like, it's funny because I read the statement on a show the other day, and like the first 2 or 3 sentences were just congratulations. End the statement right there. Like to go on and then make it about you was the mistake.
Again, Alex, there's nothing that he's going to say that's going to, make him look, I don't want to say good or decent. There's just a no-win scenario for him. TD Finstock, shout out to TD Finstock. It's about continuing to show injustices. Everyone knows that Flores should be a head coach somewhere. The black coach that was hired over him is another one-year coach because they don't have a quarterback.
Probably so. Yeah.
There's probably truth in that. Now, I personally like Lovie Smith. I think he's a great guy. Yeah. I think he's well loved around the game. I think he's well respected around the game. I think he had, in the right opportunity, could be a really, really good head coach somewhere. Again, what did I tell you earlier a few weeks ago when this went down, Alex? I said, if you have a head coach who's been a head coach somewhere else and failed, he can learn from his mistakes. And Lovie's been around in a lot of different places. So that theory is good, that maybe he's a one and done, and it's probably right. But I do think that he's also a coach that can, look at what Dusty Baker did. And I know this is totally different from baseball, but look what Dusty Baker did in Houston.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker took a Houston Astros team that had like just plaster all over themselves because they screwed up big time, went in there and won the World Series. Like, think about that. So, like, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said of that. And that's kind of where I'm at with Flores. I don't, or with Lovie Smith. I
Mhm.
think Lovie Smith is kind of in that very similar situation
Yeah,
in Houston.
that's
Although
true.
Houston didn't have any scandal, but like he's kind of in it. They got the Deshaun Watson ordeal. They're dealing with the Brian Flores saga mess. Like Lovey TD's theory is probably
Well, and
probably
it was
correct.
really weird. Like to TD's point, they had Chris Cully as their head coach for a year with Lovie Smith working under him, and then it's like, well, why did you even fire Chris Cully? It's like, well, what did you expect him to do with that team last year with no Deshaun Watson? I don't think Deshaun Watson will ever play another snap for the Houston Texans, but it's like, so it did like to be fair. It was a little weird the way that Houston handled it because maybe they were thinking of giving, after firing Cully, they were maybe thinking of giving it to a white guy. What was it, Josh McCown, that they wanted to give the job to? And then like, well, we can't give it to a white guy with everything going on. So and we don't want to give it to Flores.
McCown got
It's
serious
controversial.
consideration, which was
Yeah.
very head scratching to me.
Very head scratching. That would have been a weird hire, but it seems like that may be who they actually wanted to give the job to.
It's very possible. And then it goes into, well, what if the person you want to give the job to because he's the best candidate for the job is white? And
Mhm.
and that's kind of where this goes into, there's so much red tape here, and there's
Yeah.
so much political backlash, and there I don't think there's a win-win scenario. We know the Rooney Rule is not the answer,
No.
but I'll be perfectly honest with you, Alex. I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know either. Yeah, I think I know what the answer is. I just don't know how we get there. It's like the answer is, this is a lesson to all of humanity.
Yeah.
Just don't see color. Like, but it's like, how do I can't just
You
speak
can't
that
do
into
that.
existence. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
And a league that is predominantly, minority, right? The
yeah,
players are predominantly African American. They're predominantly, that is what what you're dealing with is coaching staffs that are predominantly white, ownership that
right.
is totally white for the most
Yeah.
part, with the exception
No,
of
yeah,
one.
completely. I mean, I think all 32 is white with
Well, Shad
yeah.
can, or the guy from Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's minority, but still, he's
Great mustache.
great mustache. Love the mustache. I don't know, man. I don't know where we go from here. I just know something's got to change. And as far as what we see in the light of how the NFL moves forward will be very interesting. For example, the Denver Broncos situation and ownership. There's a report out saying that Peyton Manning and John Elway are trying to put a group together to rival a billionaire out in LA for the ownership. But again, neither ownership group is minority led.
Right.
So what do you do in that case there, Alex?
Yeah.
But what do you do if no minority comes forward and says, "Hey, look, we have a team for sale." There's potentially going to be 3 teams for sale in the next 2 years. You got Denver, you got Washington. Hopefully, Daniel Snyder should have lost his team a long time ago, and maybe even Stephen Ross with the Dolphins. And you got to think, and there's no precedent for it here, that if they force him out again, which is a big if. I think that they should rip up the secession plan that they had with Bill too.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, because it's weird because Steve Ross is in his 80s, right? I mean,
Correct.
He already literally has a plan in place to sell the team to his protege, Bruce Beal. So it's like, if you just force him to do that maybe a couple years early, is that really even a punishment? Like, the NFL has to look at it that way, that if we are going to be forcibly taking the football team away from this owner in an effort to punish him for, a serious shot at the shield of the NFL, are we really punishing him if we're just going to make him, sell his team to the guy he wanted to sell it to all along for billions of dollars a couple of years earlier than he would have otherwise?
You have to make an example, and you got to figure the Dolphins will be made an example of if there's any shred of evidence that they find in court or through an investigation. So that'll be what it is. Real quick, let me hit the reset button. Miami Sports Music's podcast network. Dono and Daniels. He's Dono, I'm Daniels. So I like how we do that. That's good, right? I want to remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit the like button, donate to the channel, help the channel grow. We are 10 minutes away from 10 a.m., and there is a press conference scheduled down over at the facility in Miami Gardens. So we will be going live. So stay here. You don't have to leave to go watch us somewhere else. Stay here. Tell people, hey, Steven and Alex are going to have the show. They're going to have the press conference. We're going to stream it live. We're going to talk about it during it. So it should be a lot of fun. So stay right here. It'll be good. That's pretty much else. I heard through a grapevine, Alex, that you finished Ozark.
I did. And I got to tell you, first of all, and I got to be careful here because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
No spoilers
for anyone who may not have finished it. You had a very good poker face last week because you made some references, and I was like, when we spoke last week, I was maybe like 3 episodes into the 4, something like that, and I finished the 7 episodes of season 4, part 1. Yeah, don't worry, Eps. I love that. See, I love Eps way too much to spoil it for me. But, Steven made reference to a certain character, and he had already finished it. And then he was very careful you were very careful not to lead me down a path of spoiling it for me to the point where I was like doubly surprised when something happened in the episode. Because I'm like, man, I thought Steven accidentally spoiled something for me, but he didn't. And now I'm like doubly surprised.
Do not talk Ozark. There are some of us not done yet.
Well, and here's a serious question. And we're, it's still fresh enough. We're not going to spoil anything today from Ozark, okay? But how long do you actually wait for something like this? Because Steve, after a certain number of weeks have passed, can't you then say, if you guys really love the show, you'd be caught up?
You would have watched it by now. That's right.
Like if you really love the show,
I will give you guys another 2 weeks maybe, and then we're doing spoilers in 2 weeks. I'm just letting you know. Because we got to talk about where does the show go for the second part. Because it leaves you with a cliffhanger. That's much I'll say. Because there's 2 parts to this last season. So part 1's done. Now we go to part 2. We're gonna bring it up. Caesar, I did not last night, but I will tonight. It is on the
What is
the
that?
watch
I don't even
list.
know what that is. What is Arcane?
It is a show that Caesar's been trying to get me to watch. I promised him I would watch it. I will watch it. I will watch it tonight. It is on
what
the
is it
watch
about?
list.
Like I don't know anything about it.
I really don't know anything about it. I was just told multiple times to watch it, and I do what my I do what my spoilers. I do what my fan base tells me to do.
Yeah,
I'm a good listener. Alex.
No, honestly, and sometimes like I'll start a TV show or I'll go watch a movie that I know nothing about, and I think it's kind of cool sometimes to go into things with zero expectations. My wife thinks I'm a lunatic for that. Like my wife is the kind of person where before she sees a movie or watches a show, she's watching multiple trailers. Like she's doing research on what it's about. Like I can remember a couple of like you remember when the Korean movie Parasite came out a couple of years ago that ended up winning Academy Awards. I heard like one person say, "Oh, this is really good, foreign film," and then boom, I had no idea what it was about going in. I really enjoyed it. A couple of years ago, I went to the movie theater and saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians. Had no idea what it was about. Went in, I really enjoyed it. I do that from time to time with TV shows as well. So I kind of like it. Like sometimes going into something with not only zero expectation, but zero knowledge of what it's even going to be. Because then like there's no way I'm going to set the bar way too high and come out disappointed,
100%. I'm setting everything up. That they just whatchamacallit.
You're going to be starting soon. The presser.
It is starting in the next 5 minutes. So we have
awesome.
that here. So stay right here. You guys don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, and before we get into it, I wanted to ask you a couple things on. I've loved the content that they're putting out there, like that video. The little like the 1-minute documentary of him getting on the plane and then getting out in the physical.
That caused a lot of stir in the face.
I know it did. I know it did. You know what? Some of you, okay, and the ones who I'm talking to know that I'm talking to them. Some of you just love being miserable. And some of you've been let down.
Alex, I've been down this road for the last few days. You're starting something here. That's all I'm saying. You're starting.
I don't even care if I'm starting something, but it's like some of you will just not let the Dolphins win on anything. Okay, and I get it. Like we've had controversies, we've had dysfunction on and off the field. We haven't had a playoff win in 2 decades. I understand it, but it's like if you can't allow yourself to enjoy and. I'm not a Tua lover. Like, you know that, Steve. I'm a Tua skeptic. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a man without a country because the Tua haters don't think I come out strong enough against him. The Tua lovers don't think I come out strong enough in his favor. It is what it is. I'm just here pitching my tent in the middle. I'm by no means am I a Tua lover. I enjoyed the little video of McDaniel FaceTiming with Tua. I thought this is really cool, man. But then there are people out there who are like, oh no, this just means he's a yes man and he's pretending he likes Tua, or it was completely staged. John, I respect it, man. Sorry, Alex, I enjoy the misery.
Well,
more.
look, Chris Delakis will, first of all, if you guys aren't following Chris Delakis on Twitter, you need to follow him on Twitter because it's really, really good stuff. Shout out to EM Dolphin. What's up, EM? How are you doing, brother? Good to see you in the chat. So real quick, we got like 4 minutes. What 3 minutes? What do you expect to hear from McDaniel? Like, what do you want to hear him say?
Listen, it doesn't matter because he's had like 3 days here to formulate the best pot. You never usually see from like a Monday to Thursday this much time between an introductory news conference. I think this guy, he's got a great personality. He's got a great sense of humor. I think he's going to hit a home run in the presser. None of that really even matters. Again, we're going to carry it live here in under 3 minutes, Steve. I guarantee you we are all going to be entertained because I've watched.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? I've watched enough Mike McDaniel because everyone is throwing out these little newsers that he did in San Francisco, how much the media loves this guy. He is going to hit a home run with the introductory presser. I guarantee, I would love that. I don't know if that's going to happen today. That's usually not what you do in an introductory newser.
But could you imagine if he did that?
Would that be great?
It would be great.
In reality, he's probably just going to say like, "Oh, we're putting a staff together. I'm interviewing the best people."
Did you swear? Did you swear?
I don't think so. Did I?
Color just called you out. I think Color just called you out. That's $1. It's $1, Alex. God.
Thanks for narking me out, Color. Jeez. I thought you were my friend, Color.
You know what I hope? So I'm interested to see if Stephen Ross will be at this presser, which I don't think he will be, right?
Probably not with everything going on. I think Greer will be, Ross will not be.
But I'm interested to see what type of questions are allowed to be asked to Greer that will not be McDaniel related, and if they shut that down, which I believe all that will happen.
Yeah.
I really think that will be the case. But if Ross is there, whoo, fireworks. That's all I want. Fireworks.
By the way, it wasn't me. Someone in the chat sweared. Okay. So don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Look here, Ricky Bobby. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I watched the Sweeney Todd last 2 nights ago.
Is that any good? I never saw that.
It's really, really good. And it's got Johnny.
I don't like musicals. You know that.
Well, I love musicals. I am a musical fan. I watch them all. But I love me some show tunes, Alex. But what's funny is Sacha Baron Cohen is in that, and he plays a very short role in it. But it's so good. He kills it. It's so good. Love Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, he's
he goes, "What is this about? Your own channel? I miss it." Okay. Oh, see, people are talking. But you know what's funny? Congratulations to all these new people that got their own channels.
Oh yeah, seriously, that's great.
I know. All right, so we're just waiting on the press conference here. Mike McDaniel. It's 10 a.m. We are just waiting for them to hit the live stream in this, and we're going to go live to it. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to stay to it on as long as we can, and they just hit the live thing. So let me put this up on the screen.
Let's see it.
And let's have
I can guarantee you, by the way, very, very nice things about Tua will be said.
Do you think so?
It's going to make some people nauseous, the Tua love fest. I mean, if that little phone call was any indication, and also, some reporter is going to ask him, so coach, do you think you can win with Tua? How's Tua going to fit in your offense? And he's going to go on and on and on about Tua. And listen, the good news for Tua in this offense is, based on San Francisco and what they were running there, and going back to the days, even in Denver with the outside zone scheme and the whole Shanahan thing, you to go deep in the playoffs with that offense, you do not need a strong-armed quarterback, which the Dolphins do not have.
Yep.
So this is probably the best possible system for Tua. And I'm sure McDaniel is going to talk a lot about that and how he's going to be bringing out Tua's greatness. And listen, for those of us who are not completely inclined toward Tua. I'm going to have my Pepto-Bismol ready because it's going to make me a little bit nauseous. I'm going to have that ready to go because it's going to be a Tua love fest, I guarantee you.
Let me ask you on your show, because you, Don O'Daly, and if you guys don't watch it, you guys need to, every weekday, 3 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. On your show, are you getting a lot of Tuaneers or Tuanon hate or Tuanon love with because I feel like there's still, like yesterday we had a whole conversation for like an hour on our panel that was strictly dedicated to Tua, and I'm like, we just got a head coach less than 24 hours ago and we're already back on Tua.
No, we get a lot of it, and it's because the Dolphins are very clearly publicly endorsing Tua. And for the people who are not Tuaneers, it rubs them the wrong way. For the people who are Tuaneers, it's like Christmas morning, right? It's like, oh my God, I keep seeing this, like, we've got a coach who believes in Tua. Like this is all it's going to take to get Tua in the Hall of Fame because we know he's the best. We know Tua is better than Dan Marino ever was, and all we need is a coach who believes in him and is going to unlock his potential. So yeah, it's always going to be about Tua. Like I wish we could talk a little bit more about some of the other things the coach is going to bring, but it's always going to be about Tua. And listen, I think from a PR standpoint, it's smart for the Dolphins to kind of put it out there that they're endorsing Tua, because I just think that sticking with him for another year, it just makes sense. I mean, he's still on the rookie contract. This is a really weak draft class coming up for quarterbacks, so it's not like you should be, and you have the 29th overall pick, so it's not like this is a good time to draft another QB. Give Tua for 1 year a coach that is actually going to try to make it work with him. And then if the end result is at the end of the 2022 season, if Tua is still just another guy, and I think he's just another guy, then you're in a much better position to move on next year than you are this year. But like the Dolphins can't tell people that. Like the Dolphins can't come out and say that, yeah, this is like another 1 year audition for Tua. He's on probation. All right, let's go live.
Good morning.
Ross is there.
I hope everybody here is well and feeling good. For me, this is a very exciting day to introduce Mike McDaniel and his family and welcome them to the Miami Dolphins. We are excited that Mike is here, and we look forward to him working with us and Chris in creating a team that will win Super Bowls. First, we got to start winning our conference games, our division games, and hopefully get to the Super Bowl. That's what we've always said, that what we want is really a team that can win consistently. When we started our search, we were looking to identify someone with several qualities that would have a real impact on our team. We were looking for those qualities of leadership, intelligence, innovation, and that could really understand what it takes to winning in the long run. Mike has all those qualities. First of all, he is probably one of the brightest coaches that I've spoken to. He is really known for his innovation on the field, and many people, in talking to him, actually even call him a genius. That's a big word and a lot of pressure on it, but certainly when you talk to people, the first thing they'll say about Mike, he is innovative and he's thinking outside the box. But at the same time, the respect that he has commanded through his over 18 years as a coach is really, remarkable. I mean, he went so far as I had coaches in his former division calling me and telling me how great he was. And I said, why are you calling? He said, really? To get him out of the division. So, I mean, it says an awful lot about the person and who he is. But one thing that really you'll find out that stands out about him is his passion for football, his passion, how he approaches the game, and how he works with people. Because that's what it's all about. It's really motivating, working with people with passion and intelligence on a consistent basis that really will produce a winner. And I don't think we could find anybody, and you'll learn to see, with any more passion for this game and winning the right way. So I really like to say that, that as we work together, and I've always preached, it's really about a team in every aspect. It's the players there, but it's really us as the owner, the general manager, the CEO, working together to produce a team, and a team that is always doing the right thing. So, and I think, and just spending the time with him, I really feel that he is the person that really has all those attributes. At the same time, has that football knowledge and the leadership for men that the Miami Dolphins really will serve us really well in the long run. He will continue to report reporting to Chris Greer. Chris Greer reports to me and works together with Tom and me, actually, Tom Garfinkel, in really leading the Miami Dolphins. So, with that, I look forward to, continuing this collaboration and hoping that we are, winning our division and then going on to much greater glory. Let's put it that way. I guess that's probably the best word. So I would like to now introduce Chris Greer and thank him for all the work that he's done in this search. So, Chris.
You notice he said exactly who's reporting to who. I thought that was interesting.
Good morning.
Me too.
First of all, Steve took basically all my jokes and thunder for everything on this, and to compliment Mike. So this might be shorter than expected. Really, we're tremendously excited to welcome Mike and his family here to South Florida as the leader of the Miami Dolphins. And, as Steve mentioned, Steve Ross, Tom Garfinkel, Brandon Shore, myself, we talked to many very qualified candidates for this job in both pro and college football. That resonated with us was how excited everyone was for this job. And where our roster was, the talent level, it was clear that there was excitement. And even into the last 2 weeks, you guys would be surprised the people that were calling trying to get into this job. So, for us, as we worked through the process, we interviewed, as we said, many people, did our research extensively. Steve was very calculated and made sure that we didn't rush this process. And that's a credit to Steve, because there were times when I was like, let's go, let's push this forward. And Steve was like, hey, let's make sure we do this as thoroughly and correct as we can. So, I thank Steve for his patience, because, I was ready to get going and get us going moving forward. It's been a good month in trying to find the right man to lead the Miami Dolphins. And when we got through the process, it was Mike McDaniel. And the one thing, as we kept talking to everybody, was Steve talked about the football intelligence, the innovativeness that he does. You wouldn't believe the calls and texts, like Steve said, just from players that he had connected with over the years, former players at his former team, and agents calling us just about the relationships that he's built over the years and how respectful he was in terms of guiding those players through, dealt with adversity and things like that. So it's always good to hear, those stories, because when you go through this process, everyone wants to tell you how great everyone is, and everyone wants to tell you, their warts that they're trying to sell people. But it was very genuine, and everyone's, love and affection for Mike and how he had impacted people's lives at his previous teams. So for us, when we got down to the decision, it was a clear choice. And, you guys have all heard everything that's been about Mike, his intelligence, his passion, his work ethic. The people that have met him in this building here over the last, 48 hours have all talked about the energy level and how he is. And he spent time, new coaches come in, it's not easy. And they come and they'll spend 5 minutes with people. he's literally in there still talking for like an hour with people as I'm trying to get his attention on other things. And that's who he is. He wants to genuinely know who people are, connect with them, and get to the whys. And that's what makes him a unique person in terms of getting the best out of people. So again, we're tremendously excited to welcome you and your family here. Richmond did a great job of pushing me too, as we're talking about getting you through stuff and being patient, because you guys had a great run in San Francisco. So, but again, we're tremendously excited and glad you're the man to lead us here over the next years.
Did he say anything there? It doesn't sound like he said really much of anything, Alex.
Sorry, I was muted. He talked about how well liked Mike McDaniel was, and he said it about 30 different times. So it's good. He's very, very well liked, Mike McDaniel. I wasn't aware of that before. And also, as people pointed out in the chat, he's wearing a $3,000 suit and a baseball cap.
That is too funny. The other thing that I find very funny as they're taking pictures here, this is the Coach McDaniel live introductory press conference right here on Miami Sports Music's podcast network, Dono and Daniels. One of the things that I thought was very funny is Chris Greer said that people were calling about the job, that he made it a point to say that this was people wanted this job. This was such a highly sought out after position. But he went out of his way to say that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, did Jim Harbaugh make that call? Did Doug Peterson? Like, I'm just wondering, like, who else was calling? Bill Cowher, who's been out of the league for like 15 years, was he calling? Let's see. Looks like Coach
McDaniel
still doing some photos there. Coach McDaniel, who's
I also
looking
thought it
sharp.
I thought it was interesting. Look at him. He's like, let's go. Come on. Yeah. I love it.
Are they bringing out a new podium? Are they disinfecting the podium? Like, is that COVID protocol or something?
I mean, they didn't.
Look at that. They took the podium away, and then did they take the podium to spray it with Purell or something? It's back though.
Here we go.
And they didn't turn his mic on.
Again? All right, it's an honor and a privilege to stand in front of you guys here as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Any man standing at a podium like this would be honored. It's a tremendous accomplishment. You'd feel great about that. But that's not why you get into coaching. It's standing at this podium. You get into coaching because you love to coach football. You love to teach, and you love to make people better. And that's exactly who I am, who I have been, and who I'll be as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I'd like to thank those wonderful words from both Steve Ross and Chris Greer. I really appreciate the opportunity and the responsibility, really, and it is a big one. But I'd like to talk about me coming here to Miami about a week ago. I was coming here to interview for a dream position, a dream of mine. And that's what I thought it was. But as I walked through this building, the gorgeous building we stand in, saw the people, looked into their eyes, felt their passion, I quickly realized that this was my dream job and I had to go get it. That one of the things that really struck me with the Miami Dolphins organization was their interest in general. It's a lot easier to go after a guy after 5 other teams have interviewed him, put him on a list. Traditionally, that's the way it works, where people want whoever other people are interviewing. This was not the case. They looked at me for me, and that really galvanized my interest in this organization and really told me a lot about who was really targeting me. Told me a lot about what they were looking for, and that's why I knew it would be a good fit. Interviewing with Steve Ross, Chris Greer, Brandon Short, Tom Garfinkel. It didn't take me long to realize this was the place that I was meant to be, so I better not screw this interview up. You take a look at the facility that's built here, which is, I feel like I'm in an SEC school. It's incredible. The stadium, everything going on around it. I think it kind of epitomizes Steve's vision. And that vision is broad, it's grand, and it's trying to be great. And that's what I'm here to get the football to. And that's what we'll do. And really, that's why I feel honor and I feel privileged just being up here in front of you guys today. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the immense amount of people that had to do with me even having this opportunity. You know, starting with Kyle Shanahan, Jed York, and his family, John Lynch, and the 49ers organization. They're a first-class organization and really helped facilitate me coming into my own, I feel like. And without the players who is the people that you really get into this business for, all their support, all their hard work, and their commitment, none of this would have been possible, and I thank all the 49er players as well. To get in a spot like this, it's almost overwhelming to think about how many people are along the ride with you that if one of them doesn't decide to invest in you, you may never get this opportunity. You know, it's one of the great things about coaching and the coaching profession is it takes a village to just get one individual capable of doing a job like this. You know, I can go down the list, starting with Mike Shanahan, gave me my first job. It was unpaid though, so he didn't pay very well. Gary Kubiak, who gave me my first paid job with the Houston Texans. Kyle Shanahan, obviously. I would have, I'm not sure what I'd be doing if it wasn't for him. You talk about guys like Sean McVay, Chris, Matt LaFleur, Bobby Turner, Dan Quinn, Raheem Morris, Mike LaFleur. The list goes on and on. I don't want to drain your guys' eardrums with that, but there's just so many people, and I appreciate all of those men that helped me become the man I am today. Each individual that I mentioned and each coach have been really privileged to work alongside. They made me a better man, a better coach, a better teacher, and that's really what my focus is in life. They didn't make me a better father. I did that on my own. I'd like to thank Richmond Flowers. It is surreal, man. Came a long way, and you know how much I appreciate you. Ann Noland. This emotional day for me, and you made it somewhat coherent, I hope. Obviously, my family. My wife, Katie McDaniel. We've come a long way. We got a long way to go. Don't do that to me. I'm trying to do a press conference. And my daughter, Ayla June McDaniel. You're a miracle, and I can't wait to see what you grow into. Now back to what we're all here for. So football. Okay, and the Miami Dolphins and what you can expect from us. Okay, schematically, offense, defense, special teams, you're going to see a unique design of everything that's tailored to our players. That's why it will be unique to us, because we'll tailor everything to our players, and that first and foremost. But really, the picture I'd like to present and what I'm here to do with the assistance of all these wonderful people is create a brand of football here that is known as Miami football. And what that is, in Miami Dolphin football, is all about passion, energy. You should be able to turn on the TV and know who the team is. even if the color's distorted, by the energy that they play with, by how they bond together, things that you only get with true work and bond together. Okay? It's a team sport, and we're going to play as a team, and I promise you that we'll feel that. The whole thing that makes football so magical, the whole reason I've devoted my professional life to it, is you have all these people with different interests focused on one common goal. Okay? That one common goal of winning, winning often, winning playoff games, and winning Super Bowls. And that goal is what drives us, but it's the bond and everything we go through in that process that makes it memorable and makes it worth doing what we do. It's the essence of sports, really, and it epitomizes what the Miami Dolphins will become. It is, I feel unbelievably fortunate, and it is so exciting to come into a team of energy, of youth, of talent, but more so of hunger that really matches the city of Miami, the fans, and every person that is employed by the Miami Dolphins. I felt it immediately when I walked in the door. It gives me goosebumps right now to be a part of something like that. An organization, this is my 7th, and I feel like when you're hired and fired that many times and bouncing around the NFL, you get a glimpse at a lot of things, and you know when something has the ability to be great. And that's all I feel walking in and out of these hallways, and I can't wait to serve each and every one of you. I think collectively, one of the most powerful things within these hallways, within this organization, that I think should be focused on is the lack of ego and the drive with a common goal. You know, as in interviewing in this process, it's all about one thing, and that is a rarity, something special, and I am so fortunate to be a part of. But that collectivity and working together for with a shared sacrifice is something that can't be replicated, and I'm extremely fortunate to be a part of. Now, I think this is always odd because you're getting all hyped up for a media session, and then we just go back and study film, put coaching staffs together, and then get ready to practice. Hopefully, we teach the players what the plays are before we do that. That whole process, although it's anticlimactic, it is part of it, and I can't express the gratitude to everyone to allow me to be up here and to be a part of it. And there's no better time to start this whole process than right now. Thank you, guys. Or questions?
Hey, guys. We're going to take questions. We have 2 mics. Brett and Renzo each have a mic. Raise your hand. We'll bring it to you.
I thought it was very interesting, a lot of his
say your
answers.
name and your affiliation.
Yeah, he definitely sounds nervous, but I can understand it. I mean, you're standing at the podium first time as a head coach. I'd be nervous too.
Thank you. Mike, Jim Barry, CBS 4 here in Miami. Welcome to South Florida.
Well, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
My question is this. Did any of the issues raised by your predecessor in his legal action raise any red flags in your mind about this organization? If not, why not? And if so, how did you resolve them in your own mind?
Red flags. I can honestly say there was absolutely no red flags. And the reason why was because I was stepping into an organization with a boss that I don't think people give it its proper due. Stephen Ross, there's a lot of people in professional sports, that are out to make money. And I mean, I can't lie. I feel like if I'd spend that much money, I'd want to make a lot of money. But like I said, when I walked in that door, you look at every single detail within this building. You look at the people that are hired. You look at just all the extents that there's no cost too high for winning for him. And when you're in multiple organizations, you realize that's not always the case. The city of Miami really is lucky to have an owner that, right, wrong, or indifferent, all he cares about is winning. And as a coach, that's all you're literally looking for. That's all. So red flags? No, there's no red flags for me.
He said there's no cost too high.
Well, but for winning, not for
Mark, how
losing,
you
because
doing?
apparently
Cam
the
Wolf,
cost on
NFL
losing
Network.
is $100,000.
Welcome
You're
to
right.
South Florida.
You're right.
What's up, Cam?
How you feeling? Obviously, when you start, the offense start, everything's going to start with the quarterback. What's your belief in Tua and him leading you guys into the next season?
My belief in Tua is that he's a football player on this team that's trying to get better. And the biggest message I have for all players, really, the message should be about the team. And what I mean by that is it's really about the team collectively getting better, and there's a responsibility of the quarterback to do so. But I'm not sitting here concerned with how good Tua can be. I'm concerned with, as a collective unit, what we can grow together, because that's what wins football games. I haven't seen a quarterback win a football game by himself ever, really. He has to have somebody throw to. He better not be getting tackled before he throws, so somebody better block.
I like that.
And the defense better not allow them to score. But the biggest thing for me with Tua is that I want him to come in and work every day, and I'm very confident that he will. I want to provide teachers that can develop him. I'm very confident in the people we're discussing this week, and the plan we have for that. And ultimately, all you want is a guy that's driven to be great, a guy that's driven to get better, and it gives you a chance. And it's my job to make sure that he has the best chance to showcase his talents. And that's everyone's job, really.
I think.
Hey, Mike, Dave Hyde of the Sun Sentinel.
I think
welcome to
some funny comments here, man.
I love it.
You alluded to earlier the Dolphins were the one team to talk to you for interviews. How do you know you're ready for this job? What told you, okay, I'm ready to be a head coach in the NFL?
It's funny that every head coach, there's a lot of talk about being ready to be a new head coach, and I think you guys have had new head coaches. The thing that kind of
we have had new head coaches, lots of
every single head coach in the history of football has never been a head coach until they're a head coach. And for me,
right? It's not wrong.
The comfort level within the hallways, really it's every year of my experience, especially the last 5 years that head coach Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers, he really relied on me, allowed me to be his right-hand man and opened my eyes to all the things that a head coach does. Not to mention all the other years where I've had great teachers. And the key for me is paying attention. It's right in front of me. And so when I do get my opportunity, I've been fully aware whenever that day comes, the responsibility it brings, the responsibility you have to every individual that's employed in the organization, their families, every player. So when they called, I was kind of nervous about an interview because I don't major in that. I major in connecting with players, teaching them, and helping them grow. But after getting the job, no, I know there's going to be things that I'm not that are new to me. But it's more about being prepared for the moment, because everybody has to have their first time to do it. and I know that I'm prepared for the moment. I know there's going to be things that are new and challenging, but that doesn't make me nervous because I've been preparing for this my entire career.
Hey, just so you know, Alex, you're not a
Mike,
head
right here in
coach
the
till
center.
you're a head coach.
Will Manso with WPLG
That
TV
is
here in
true.
Miami. Welcome to Miami. You talked a lot in the last couple of days. I've heard clips
That guy
about
will.
coaching is teaching, and that's something that you love to do and the individual players. But
By the
when
way,
it
I
comes
like
to
this Q&A
managing
answer. I
53
liked it.
personalities,
Yeah, it was good.
the emotion from week to week, the drama, the distractions, things that come with a team, how do you think you'll handle that? And what is your plan when you've got to handle so many people as one head coach?
My plan is to handle it well. And how you do that is you take, coaching a position group. There's a transition to coach a position group to be an offensive coordinator. That told me a lot about what I thought it was. And there will be a transition to coaching 53 men, which that's at the low end. There's also practice squad and training camp roster. So I'm prepared to coach more of those guys than just that. But yeah, there's challenges. But every step of the road, every position you hold in football, that's what your job is. Anytime you ascend, you take on new responsibilities, but you're doing the same thing in terms of, oh, there's something unforeseen. How do I problem solve this? What messaging do these guys need to hear? Who do I need to connect with? Who isn't really coming along the team's direction? They're all just problems. There's more of them for sure, but that's why there's only one head coach. You work your entire career to do it, and that's why you have so many resources within the building. Why I felt so comfortable taking this job is because I feel completely comfortable with my knowledge. I know I've been preparing for this. That would have been irresponsible for me to have all these great leaders in front of me and not bear witness. But I also have a lot of people to rely on within the building. And when everyone's working in the same direction, yeah, there's going to be problems I don't foresee or I couldn't forecast today. But how boring would our jobs be if it was just monotony anyway?
Alex, look at the
I embrace the challenge. I know there'll be new things, but I mean, that's been the task at hand my entire 17 or 18-year career.
You guys are so crazy in the chat.
Oh my God.
Hey, Mike, Marcel Louis Jacques with ESPN. Welcome to Miami.
That's my 5th welcome to Miami, and I'm feeling welcome.
About to say, just trying to make you feel comfortable.
That's what I mean. I'm just waiting for you to bust out some welcome to Miami and then finish the verse.
Did he just drop Will
I'm not gonna
Smith
do that right
once
now.
again?
Maybe later.
It might really
Gotcha.
be in his arsenal now. Now I'm
Once you get your offensive staff kind of put together, what do you foresee that collaboration process being like? Do you plan on calling plays yourself? Is that something that you're going to kind of delegate to your offensive coordinator, or do you have another unique system in mind?
Oh no, I plan on calling plays myself. But one thing that
called it.
I've noticed in my journey is that successful play callers don't isolate themselves. They utilize the people around them. That's what a head coach should do. I'm not up here doing anything by myself, or I won't be.
Oh, he's preaching.
After this press conference ends, I'm not going to be going into a hole and hanging out by myself and thinking about stuff. You're working with people. So the higher your leadership, with regard to a head coach, the more people you have to lead. As an offensive coordinator, you call plays, but if you're a head coach and calling plays, you better be reliant and feel very good about the people on your offensive staff. So it's been a meticulous process. I think not as meticulous as this head coaching search, apparently, but it's been very meticulous because that's what you're preparing for.
What did he mean by
I
that?
know exactly what the season's going to bring in terms of, there are so many things that go on in the course of the season, and there's stressors, and you have to worry about kind of focusing the direction of the team. But that's why you spend this time in the off season finding the people that you can rely on, that you can trust and work with, so they can help you game plan, help you solve problems. We can get the best plan together. And then, when the players own the plan, you're just calling plays, but they make them come to life.
What did he mean by that, man? He said,
Oh.
what did he say? He said, not
Hi,
as
Mike. Omar
meticulous
Kelly
as
with
this coaching.
Sentinel. I wanted to ask
search.
you about your upbringing in the NFL. Gary Kubiak, Shanahan, both father, son.
That's a good
Your
question.
background, West Coast offense, heavy run-based offense. Is that sort of a sample of what you believe is winning football in the NFL? And what do you think it takes to win in the NFL from a play call standpoint and scheme standpoint?
I understand what you're getting at with the question. I really like the question, but connecting it to winning, that's a team deal. But for offensively, with regard to scheme, I have an interesting story because I started with Mike Shanahan and immediately went to Gary Kubiak, and it's rare to work 15 years in the NFL across 6 teams and have the same system. So in that, what you end up doing in the same system, you're not constantly trying to relearn how to do things. You're constantly evolving to the point, when you're at your 4th or 5th year within the offense, and then you go to your 3rd team. Now you're reinstalling. So you found it's your 3rd rep of first introducing the same scheme, while also there's a completely different set of players. So within your scheme, you are tailoring it to whoever they are. You go. I mean, what was it? My 2nd year in Washington. Collectively, we drafted Robert Griffin III and ran a bunch of zone read. You know how much zone read experience our staff had? 0. And we didn't go to any clinics. We didn't. We really did it with the old-fashioned hard way grind.
Interesting.
And what that afforded all of us, when you're talking about all the guys that were there in Washington, is in our formative years, our minds are open to adapting to whatever means necessary, to whatever player skill sets, all the way to the quarterback. So because of that, every single year, people call our scheme so creative. Really, we're just adapting. We're adapting to defenses. We're adapting to our players. We're constantly evolving. And I think that's important. And that's a winning formula. I think it puts players in position to succeed. And that's the key drive for the scheme. And that's why, it's less trying to be creative for creative sake. It's more solving problems in different ways and having different tools and abilities to do so.
I like that answer.
Hey, Mike, Daniel.
He's definitely
Lafusi with the
comfortable
Miami
talking
Herald.
football, like
I found it
actual
interesting
football,
that
which
in
I
Steve's
love.
comments, he said that you will report to Chris, who then reports to obviously Steve and Tom. And I was curious with the aspect of player personnel,
Daniel.
how much say do you anticipate having on that, and how do you foresee working with Chris
Love
on
Daniel.
Another attractive. Thanks for the tee up. That's another attractive thing about the Miami Dolphins is Chris Greer himself. I think his reputation speaks for itself. But I didn't know him that well. I knew of him, and I worked with his dad previously. But in a short amount of time, if you're picturing that scenario where you report to a GM and you want to work with him, I couldn't create an avatar better for my working relationship than Chris Greer. Why? Because he's of the same vision in that he just wants to win football games, and he understands that the players we acquire better suit the scheme. And it's been obvious in a week and talking to him on the phone and really all the due diligence that I did before I got here, that he's not interested in ego. He's not interested in agenda. He's interested in a bond with the head coach that excels and that beats other people's bonds as GM and head coach. He wants a tied together unit and he wants to grow
We'll
together.
do one more question.
So how much
see where
say?
that goes.
As much as I want to talk, I guess, because there's been no pushback. And I don't ever foresee that ever happening. It's a very comfortable situation for a coach to go into, and honestly, it just helps me worry about coaching football, evaluating players with him, having conversations, and growing together so we could collectively do the best thing for the Miami Dolphins.
Hey, Mike.
Question,
Over here
Daniel.
in the middle, Joe Shad from Palm Beach. Hope things go well. I will not welcome you.
Joe Shad from Palm
Officially.
I
Beach.
appreciate the welcomes. I was just, paying attention.
I wanted to ask you about what you've learned about the best ways to teach players.
That it's an evolving process. That I got into the NFL in 2005. Twitter, Instagram, and ADD addictions weren't really prevalent or existed. And that's just an example of how things change over time. I think the one thing in terms of studying the learning process in general is that people can attach to ideas when they're in a linear story, or if you can tell a story and you can go from point A to point B to point C. And I've been fortunate within this scheme to coach every single position in this offense. And whether you're dealing with different players or different personalities, that is one true common denominator, is that you have to have a starting point of understanding that you can bridge to a next point. Beyond that, tape, video, edited cut-ups, and organizing them so that you can battle that ADD issue that was aforementioned. Those things are powerful things that will be prominent within with our coaches, that we really invest our time, but understand that how valuable the player's time is, how short-term attention spans are. You better bring some energy. You better entertain them while getting them to learn whatever it is. But you always have to listen, ask questions, see if they get it, and adjust.
All right. We're going to hit the pause button on this because we're running up against the clock. Let's get your thoughts, man. I guess that's the first thing because, by the way, this is Miami Sports Music's Dono and Daniels. You just heard the introductory press conference. I think there was a couple more questions left. But I know, we basically got a good gist of what he said and how his thoughts were. So, yeah, man, the floor, I want to hear what you think.
Well, I'm laughing my ass off at our swear jar. Sorry, I'm laughing my behind off at the comments section. You guys are hilarious. But for the people, are you genuinely complaining? I mean, okay, he looks a little nervous. I mean, I speak for a living, I guess you could say that. But at the same time, I can totally understand being incredibly nervous, being introduced to the media and the world for the first time when you get your dream job. It's I think he's doing fine. I think Mike McDaniel is doing fine. And I think he's done an especially good job answering the more football-related questions. The question that Omar Kelly asked him about systematic stuff and what he learned from the Shanahan family. I thought he really hit it out of the park there in talking about how he's had the luxury of 15 years coaching in the NFL, having the same offensive system that entire time, which he's going to bring with him here to Miami. And instead of having to reinvent the wheel every few years with a new system, he's able to help tweak and evolve that current system, which has proven to be very, very successful. Several different teams that he's worked on, starting with the Denver Broncos and branching out to so many others, most recently the 49ers. So I thought that was great. Steve, I thought that his answer on Tua Tagovailoa was great because instead of kind of taking the bait and making it all about Tua, okay, Tua's got to get better. Everybody's got to get better. This is a team sport, right? And everyone, if everyone else, if the other 52 guys are all getting better, that's going to help the 53rd guy get better. Everyone depends on the others. So listen, I think he's doing fine. Does he come off with some awkward vibes? Okay, whatever, man. None of that matters to me. I think he's doing a good job there.
There were a lot. I took notes. during the press conference. And so here's just some highlights. Stephen Ross said he doesn't just he before we even get to Super Bowl, he needs to win conference games. I thought Ross's part of the press conference was very awkward and just,
he's got a lot going on in his mind right now.
100%. Tom, I thought it was also interesting that Tom Garfinkel seems to be a part of the hiring process. I did not know that was the case of anything that had to do with football stuff. So that makes me just I want to know a little bit more about Garfinkel. I'd like to get more inside stuff on that, about how involved is he with on the field stuff, because I always knew he was part of the business.
My guess would be probably like a ceremonial thing. Like, you're the CEO. His official title is CEO, I believe.
Yes.
So even though he focuses more on the business side, it's like they probably do him a courtesy to say you can be part of the interview process. You can get your questions.
Well, he went
in.
out of his way to say it, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing that I thought Greer was funny saying is that people called about the job. People were calling the Dolphins. Chris Greer went out of his way to say, well, this was a very sought after job. People were calling about it. It was highly sought after.
Right.
I felt like he just made a point to say that, and that was interesting because why even say that?
Yeah.
I think something else that was interesting, starting with McDaniel, and these couple are about McDaniel. Only team that called. The Dolphins are the only team that called him.
I have some thoughts on that. I talked about that on my show yesterday, and I thought the way that he answered the question was kind of similar to the thought that I had. I don't think that's any sort of a red flag. Like, I've heard people talking about that. There have been 9 coaching vacancies, and the Dolphins are actually the only team that brought in Mike McDaniel for an interview. He said something similar to what I said yesterday, that the hiring process in the NFL, the coaching carousel, it's just so many retreads, so little innovation. Like, we're going to call a guy because he's had similar jobs before and he's got a good resume. And sometimes you just call a guy because somebody else called a guy. Like, sometimes if you hear about like Kellen Moore interviewing for a certain job, well, okay, we got to call him. We got to get him in here too. Like, there's very little creativity and thought, unfortunately, that goes into 90% of the people the teams bring in to interview. I've got zero problem whatsoever with the Dolphins thinking outside the box a little bit and maybe trying to find a guy, for better or for worse, that they think kind of fits the mentality that they want to put onto their football team. And it's not as if, like, okay, I guess outside the box enough that nobody else brought him in for an interview, but it's not as if this guy isn't respected. Like, if you're right. if you're bringing in an assistant coach somewhere that everyone's like, why are you talking to this guy? Like, that's not the case with McDaniel. I mean, he's highly renowned for his intelligence, innovation, and creativity in designing plays. And also, I know he comes off a little awkward on the podium, which it is what it is. But, I mean, every player that I've heard speak about this guy who's played for him speaks so. I mean, George Kittle wanted it in his contract that he's only locked in when McDaniel is on the staff there. So I think, to me, I don't think it's any sort of a red flag that nobody else brought this guy in.
Couple of other things real quick, because I know we're up against the clock. He compared the facilities to, this is like an SEC school. I thought that was very interesting and funny, because we're NFL, we're professional. So if think about all the places he's been to in the last 15 or 20 years in professional football, and he thought that our facility was compared to an SEC facility. So that just tells me that SEC facilities are better than NFL facilities.
And they are. And do you know why? It's because SEC facilities are part of recruiting. In the NFL, it's how much money is on the contract is the bigger part. So the SEC schools, they do tend to have nicer facilities than the NFL.
He was funny about being a dad. He said he was thanking everybody for him being a coach, and then he goes, and as far as me being a dad, that was all me. Nobody else helped me with that, which I thought was funny. I like the humor. He said he's going to tailor players to their role, right? Like, he's going to make the playbook tailored for them,
right?
And he talked a lot about team support. And then the very last thing that I wrote a note down that I thought was interesting is that when he got the phone call from the Miami Dolphins, being the only phone call he got, he said he was nervous about the job, not his strong suit. But 10 minutes before in his press conference, he was saying, well, this is my dream job. I've always wanted this. So it contradicted it. He contradicted himself with that.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, my initial thoughts are, I think we have a coach who, I don't know if he ever really thought about being a head coach until somebody called him about it.
Ooh.
And then it goes to what are, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I do.
I don't even know how to process that.
Yeah.
I just know for me, it makes me uncomfortable hearing that.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I'm also, I wonder if, because I know sometimes when you're being asked questions and you're trying to be open and candid, I'm not going to say I've never contradicted myself before. Like in that sort of a setting.
You've never done that, Alex. Not
never, ever. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's interesting because I didn't even pick up on that until you just said it. I think that's interesting. Like I wonder. I will say this. I hope that impression he gave you is a false impression. Because like you, if that's true, if he hadn't really considered being a head coach, at least not yet at this time, I hope that's not the case because I want him to be fully mentally prepared for the challenge that's in front of him.
No doubt. All right, Miami Sports Music, Dono and Daniels. Dono's got to get out of here. So we're going to end the show a little prematurely today because there's just so much going on. But you got a million
premature
things
evacuation.
Yes. I do want to say Monday we will be back to our normal time slot, right, Alex? I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Monday, yes.
Monday, Dono and Daniels will be back on Monday. It'll be post Super Bowl, so we'll talk all about the Super Bowl, which will be good. But tell people about everything that you got going on, man.
Oh, thanks so much, man. Yeah, I'll be hitting it. I gotta go and tape something in a moment for a Sirius XM spot. 3:00, I'm hosting Dono Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. I know a lot of the people that I see in our chat here, I see in the chat for that as well. Anyone, if you haven't jumped aboard yet, we have a lot of fun on the live chat there as well. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. So check it out there.
Awesome. Guys, remember Clock Blockers, Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the #1 Miami fan morning show. We have a whole other list of lineups, so make sure you check us out. And make sure you guys follow us on social media at Stephen D. SKPL for me, at Alex Dono for him. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. And make sure you hit that like button if you haven't done so already today. Go back and rewatch this. It'll be a great show. I'm enjoying it. Alex, I'll see you on Monday, man. It should be good.
See you then.